can I work in the hospital as an FNP? Or here's the inverse, can I work in clinic as an acute care NP? There still remains so much confusion out there regarding work setting for nurse practitioners, and plenty of people are getting it wrong for a few reasons I'm going to discuss in this video. I'm going to break down the terminology and try to shed light on what you can and can't do within your certification. And at the end, I will share my personal situation, which I think illustrates how you can use your capabilities within the certification you possess to leverage more money for yourself. I know you all want that. If we haven't met yet, my name is Bree. I'm an NP educator, mentor, interview strategist. Welcome to the channel, friends. Yes, my voice is different. You are not imagining things. It was actually gone for about 3 weeks. I had nothing but a whisper, which is why I have no videos for you all. It's been rather slow coming, and I apologize for that. I'm kind of convinced at this point this is the new me. I have not picked up smoking. I just have a radio-friendly voice. The better to serve you all. You're welcome. Before we get started, I wanted to say happy NP week, friends. It is our week to shine. I want to let you know how thankful I am to be a part of this professional community. It is, to me, honestly the best career one can have, and I'm so proud and honored to be your colleague. So in celebration, I'm giving 20% off all the digital products on my website, including the interview digital course, as well as my e-versions of my books, the HMP cheat sheet. So if you need to level out that trajectory to competence as a new ICU provider, these are the books for you. So this is going to be good for the week, the entire week of Nurse Practitioner Week, which I believe is November 12th through the 18th. For those of you who may not know, I do consultations with people who are in various stages of their NP journey. Clients come to me whether they are early in their career journey seeking advice about what school to choose or what program they want to do, or they're seeking help finding or landing a job. I meet people from various parts of the country, rural areas, urban areas. Some are different specialties, so FNP acute care. I've had some midwives, some psych mental health providers, a few PAs. Anyways, I say all that because I hope it lends insight into why I believe I can offer perspective on this topic that represents what is actually happening across the nation, rather than just regurgitating what someone else told me or applying my specific region's culture to everybody else, which is what you see on the NP forums. I see these kind of questions asked all the time, and people feel very strongly about this. And they're basing it off of the bias of where they live and the specific setting that they're in. So you're going to get mixed advice about this. Some people will say, become an FNP because you are way more versatile. Okay, here's an example. Let me just give you an example, okay? I met with a Florida-trained FNP who was working in the hospital in a peds acute care setting as a nurse and wanted to do that as a provider. She was advised there in Florida, because that's how they practice there, to obtain her FNP because it allowed her to treat across the lifespan and offered more versatility for her. But then she relocated to another state, and in this other state, FNPs are not allowed to practice in the hospital. So what she has found is that a lot of people aren't calling her back for interviews. So there's the geographic problem of moving, but even within certain states, there's regional variation about who can do what and where. Why must it be so gray, you ask? Shouldn't this be straightforward designation by the people who regulate or license? That is the question, my friends. The reality is that several layers of direction exist to determine how and where you can practice, and these vary greatly. I'm going to break it down as to the whys. But first, I want to define a few terms which hopefully this is going to make it easier to understand. These terms get used interchangeably, and I think that adds to the confusion. So first up is degree, okay? Your degree is the title conferred to you by your university and indicates completion of a course of study. Your options for NPs are MSN or DNP. That's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. Second term, certification. A board certification is what you earn after passing the exam that aligns with the education and training that you just finished. It tells employers and the public at large that you have the necessary knowledge base to support that education and training. And as NPs, we narrow our training and therefore based on the program that we chose and the exam we take, we have differing credentials. This is why some people will have BC after their name, some people will just have C. It is based on the test that you take. Population. Okay, this is the focus of who you're treating. Some people think about this as age, but it's really more than that. Think of this more as like your ideal client. For an acute care NP, this is like your older adolescents, geriatrics, adults. For FNPs, this is any age, across the lifespan. For a neonatal nurse practitioner, this would be neonates. For ultra narrow focus, it'd be like the associated clientele will apply to it. So like, here's your example. Your psych mental health NP, your focus is on the care of the patient with psychiatric mental health conditions. And this could really be any age. So age isn't the defining piece of this. Role. This is where I believe most people get confused. Role indicates the type of care that you deliver and does not speak to either setting or population. This is the way you work and the type of patients you care for. And the two most confusing NP credentials, the FNP and the AGA-CNP, this indicates the difference. So FNPs will treat patients who have acute and chronic illnesses that are not life-threatening, nor have health that is actively deteriorating. Their focus is on primary care, preventative medicine, but they often work in settings that treat like minor but acute illnesses or injuries, like urgent care settings. AGA-CNPs, on the other hand, care for patients with acute, possibly life-threatening illnesses, and typically this occurs in the setting of the hospital. However, specialty clinics such as orthopedics and oncology centers treat patients with acute illnesses, and therefore, technically, an acute care NP can work in those settings. What they can't do is work in any setting in which primary care, and think about this as like any setting that could be considered a patient's medical home, somewhere where they go for their overall care, primary care. We can't do that. You can't go anywhere where that kind of treatment is rendered. So that's the distinction between the two. Specialty. This is the subcategory underneath the certification that further narrows your focus. Here's an example. GI, cardiology, bariatric surgery, critical care, primary care, dermatology, so forth, okay? Different types of NPs can work in each of these. So in an oncology clinic, you will see both FNPs and AGA-CNPs, as they each bring different training skills and capabilities to the table. Work setting. This is how people default to categorizing NPs, inpatient or outpatient. And if you look at statistics, you'll see that the majority of NPs do fall into the stereotypical settings. However, I'm going to put a link below in the description. It is going to be a link to an AANP research report that indicates as many as 13% of FNPs practice in the inpatient setting, particularly in rural settings or critical access hospitals. I see this for my clientele as well, a lot. And on the inverse, 14% of acute care NPs work in an outpatient setting, according to this study. So as you can see, the lines get a little blurred when you consider career options in this capacity of inpatient or outpatient. So I think it makes it more clear to think of it as the possible populations and roles in which you can practice with your acute care FNP. So back to where can you work? There has been little federal standardization in regards to our training and scope of practice. And in 2008, the ANCC and 40 other nursing organizations formed a work group to address inconsistency in APR and practice across the U.S. And they came up with this LACE consensus model. And it stands for Licensure, Accreditation, Certification, and Education. I got it. So it's the LACE consensus model. It's a model for regulation that was born of this disparity and the goal to align like state laws. I think they also intended for it to create like a compact license type of setting where NPs could cross state lines and who they are in one state is the same as who they are in the other state. The thing is, this is not federally mandated, but it's rather used as a suggested model and hopes that the states will adopt it to standardize practice. And the issue is that a lot of states chose not to adopt it. So I'm going to try and put a picture up here of a graph that shows the states that have fully adopted it and which have not. So in the states that have aligned laws to match the recommendations from the consensus model, you'll find a more strictly delineated role. So like there are not going to be acute care NPs in primary care clinics, and you're not going to have FNPs in the hospital or acute setting. But the rest of the states are varying in the level of commitment to that alignment with the consensus model. So like Georgia, for example, the Georgia Board of Nursing maintains statutory oversight of APRNs. And the Composite Medical Board has a piece in this too. They approve and maintain the collaborative agreements. This is the agreement between you and your doctor, since we are not a full practice authority state. You have to have a collaborating doctor. So therefore, the medical board ensures that the NP scope of practice aligns with the population that they've been trained to treat. And so this is why you get some variation. There are parts of Georgia where FNPs are practicing inpatient, and parts, which is probably mostly like your bigger health systems or your hospitals, where they're just not hireable in that setting. So, and you got to look even beyond the hiring portion as well, okay? You could get a job offer. You could complete the work, get a salary, and then when you go to renew your certification in 5 years, not be able to get that because you can't maintain your licensure if you're not certified. And the reason you can't maintain that certification or get approval for it is because you can't show those, 10,000 work hours within the setting for which you're approved or trained to work. So even if you get hired as an FNP in the hospital, but you can't show that you've completed 10,000 hours in a primary care or medical home for your patients, they'll deny your certification renewal. And then you can't get licensed, and then you can't practice. So that's the problem. So the end result is there is just a lot of misunderstanding by a lot of people. And what holds true in Georgia does not hold true in North Dakota or Alaska, and so forth. So most people equate an acute care APRN certification with hospital work and FNP certification with clinic work. But that is a very narrow and limited view of the possibilities for each of these. And I know from talking to people across the country, it is not this way everywhere. What I see here locally is not what's true elsewhere. Now, as promised, we are at the end of the video, and I'm going to share with you my little situation that could be helpful to some people. I want you guys to always keep sight of what unique skills and credentials you bring to the table and how you can leverage more negotiating power. So one time, when I first graduated NP school, I did a rotation in an outpatient setting in oncology. I loved it. They liked me. They were willing to create a position for me. I interviewed. They offered me the job. And they were going to offer me 15% more in base salary than they do to their FNP colleagues because I offered them the option to rotate in the hospital. So I gave them a little bit more flexibility. Now, they could have just been blowing smoke up my butt because maybe they offer my FNP colleagues more money because they offer the option to treat children and babies, which I cannot do. So we each have skills that we bring to the table that are a little different. We have to narrow our focus. That's okay. Lean into it, own it, use it to your advantage, and leverage the power of it, friends. Next up, watch the video that I'm going to link up here somewhere that's going to talk about nurse practitioner salary. I did a real deep dive into researching the market probably 6 or 9 months ago, something like that, both locally here in Georgia as well as nationally to give you overall trends about the highest paying certifications as well as specialties. So maybe that will be helpful to you. Happy NP week, friends, and thanks so much for joining and watching my videos. Hey friends, I'm so glad that you're here. If you are here, you are probably in the same boat I was in 7 years ago, where you're like, I think I should go back to NP school, but the universe isn't giving me any answers and this is a tough choice. That's the boat I was in.
I started this platform here to answer all of those questions, to help mentor people in making the decision about going back to school, what to do, how to navigate the waters of school, how to acquire their dream job once they get out of school, because I also, in this process, taught myself how to interview. My husband started that, but I realized that nursing school doesn't teach us how to interview, and it is a very teachable skill, so why in the heck don't they teach us? But once you learn how to interview, you can wow them, impress them in a very competitive market. They will offer you the job over everybody else and will offer you more than they were willing to offer them because you did such an amazing job. I can't tell you how many times people tell me this. So if you're looking for interview strategies, you're in the right spot. I talk a lot about that. I also am a critical care NP, and that is my first love, is taking care of crashing patients. I love the buzz of it. I have always done that my entire career, from ER to ICU. And it is so much fun. If you need help with that trajectory of onboarding as a new grad ICU NP, as many of us do, I love to help flatten out that trajectory as well. I teach critical care topics. I do a lot of that on TikTok, so go check out my, I call them bite-sized teaching over there. And the meat and potatoes are kind of here. I also have a blog on my website, and I have the Acute Care Lab membership where I do twice monthly lectures in a private setting on Zoom, as well as provide PDF templates to help guide your management of your patients. So if you're looking for any of those kind of resources, you have come to the right place, friends, and I am so glad that you're here. Thank you for supporting the channel and for watching my videos. Welcome.